It's hard to argue Keir Starmer has been anything other than a disaster. He didn't so much win the 2024 election as the Tories lost it, so he didn't start with very much momentum, but he's made some massive errors. Despite what we were told in the election about smashing the gangs, mass immigration, legal and illegal, continues. Labour collectively just refused to address the issue of grooming gangs, and that issue won't go away. Welfare is now out of control. Total welfare payments now exceed total income tax receipts. That's sure to end well when the money finally runs out. We've had European and American commentator Starmer doesn't like banned from the UK whilst he's busy shaking hands outside number 10 with former Al-Qaeda terrorists. His cabinet is full of CV fraudsters. Jonathan Reynolds claimed he was a solicitor. He is not. The Chancellor claims to have been a Bank of England economist, and there is a suggestion she was in fact a complaints handler, hence the moniker Rachel from Accounts. And does anyone seriously think Lammy's there on merit? Under Starmer's stewardship, the once great Royal Navy took 2 weeks to find a single ship that was seaworthy. He hit motorists with fuel duty rises and blamed the war in Iran. His Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, continues to wreck the British economy with high energy taxes. Many excellent private schools have had to close their doors due to the imposition of VAT, and the extra teachers we were promised have not materialised. Money's thrown away in the Ukraine, and he was all set to give away the Chagos Islands until the Americans stopped him. And perhaps worst of all, he appointed Mandelson as ambassador to the US, then claimed he had no idea the Prince of Darkness was crooked. And now we've had the worst local election results in the party's recent history. For the first time ever, not only have they lost control in Wales, Labour are barely in third place with only 9 seats in an assembly of 96. This is calamitous. And it's not like he has any great personal charisma. The Captain Cardboard meme is quite appropriate. And every time he appears in public with Victoria, it just looks horribly fake and forced. And let's not forget the mysterious Ukrainian rent boy trial that's currently going ahead. Details are a bit sketchy, but those male prostitutes seem to be charged with trying to burn his front door or smash his back door in or something. So who might replace him? Well, that's not the obvious question that it should be. Labour MPs and the National Executive are pretty tribal, and they don't usually have the courage or backbone to decapitate leaders who are obviously going to fail. They let Michael Foot fight the election in 1983 that he couldn't win, and they did the same twice with Jeremy Corbyn. But they need to think about this question pretty seriously. I don't think any leader can win the next election for them, but the question is how big will the defeat be? And that's an important question. A small manageable defeat means they might have a chance again in 2034 or 2039, but a catastrophic defeat, something where they're not even the official opposition, means they may never be a party of government again. It really is that existential for the Labour Party, and Keir Starmer will deliver such a disaster. Even if they don't care about Labour's future, MPs might care about their own jobs, because they aren't the most talented bunch. They can't really quickly slot into high-powered jobs in industry, so they need to do something and do it quickly. So who could replace him? There's been a lot of talk about Wes Streeting, which I find farcical. Now, Wes can do what he wants, and I'm sure he'd be well received in places like Canada or other Western countries. But could he really take his husband to Saudi Arabia on a visit? The Prime Minister of Great Britain needs to be respected, and there are a great many countries in the Arab world, Africa and the Far East who simply don't respect what we might call pedestrians of the Bourneville Boulevard. Plus, there's a photo of young Wesley out canvassing with Peter Mandelson. Setting aside the rather unfortunate associations with the Prince of Darkness, one could only speculate as to the nature of that relationship. Yeah. Some people seem to think Andy Burnham is the second coming, and this is ridiculous. Burnham's not an MP, and Labour want a by-election now in the same way I want rectal surgery without anaesthetic. Let's just say I'm not terribly keen. There's also talk about Angela Rayner. Now, that would be hilarious in a kind of car crash sort of way, and it's not completely impossible. She could even win the Labour leadership. But again, you have to look like a Prime Minister, and I couldn't really see Angie going to the White House or the Kremlin and being taken seriously. Lammy's the deputy leader, but no one's talking about him, so I guess irrelevant DEI posted one thing, but having him as leader is a bridge too far, even for the insane Labour Party. That said, I would rather enjoy watching a man from Guyana arguing with a woman from Nigeria about what it means to be British at Prime Minister's Question Time. Now, bear in mind, this isn't an election they can win. It's about managing the defeat. And a man who could pile up lots of votes for them, not enough to win, but who could pile up lots of votes anyway, would be Jeremy Corbyn. But unfortunately, they've expelled him from the party. So who does that leave? Well, Shabana Mahmood would be an absolute gift to the right, and Rachel Reeves is even less popular than Starmer and an even bigger charisma vacuum. So there really is a dearth of talent. Ask yourself this. If you own the McDonald's franchise, which one of the cabinet would you appoint as assistant manager? The only one I can think of, the only one who could deliver a manageable defeat, the only one who seems semi-competent is the Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper. Now, I'm not saying she's great, and I'm certainly not saying I think she'll win, but she has the experience and the gravitas to knock Starmer off and keep the defeat manageable. More importantly, she's 57. That means she's 60 at the time of the next election and 70 or 75 before Labour are ever in government again. It's now or never for her, and she must know this. If there's any personal ambition left, her time is now. And she could dress it up as concern for the country or the Labour Party or something. Now, we all know it would obviously be sticking a dagger in Starmer's back, of course. Does she have the stones for it? We'll see very soon. And if the various calamities, the crappy decisions, the lack of imagination, the lack of vision, and the recent electoral disaster is enough, I think the four rent boys might just be the human torpedo that has Starmer pegged. He can't argue they didn't come across his desk. So if you're watching this, you are the resistance. Please like, recommend, and subscribe.